During the day, Michael J. Fox was starring in one of America's biggest sitcoms. At night, he was racing across Los Angeles to film Back to the Future. Some weeks, he barely slept. And while audiences watched Alex P. Keaton become one of the most popular characters on television, almost nobody realized how dramatically the lives of the Family Ties cast would eventually change. The comforting TV mother was privately struggling with alcoholism. One child star disappeared from Hollywood almost completely. Another went through years of public trouble after fame ended. And the actor who seemed completely unstoppable would eventually face a diagnosis that changed his life forever. But somehow, decades later, Family Ties still feels strangely personal to the people who grew up watching it. Because the Keatons didn't just feel like sitcom characters. They felt like family. If you enjoy revisiting classic television and the stories behind the people who made it unforgettable, consider subscribing to Backtrack Television. What made Family Ties different was that the show wasn't even supposed to revolve around Michael J. Fox. The original focus was meant to be the parents, Stephen and Elise Keaton, two former hippies raising children during the Reagan era. The idea sounded simple. The parents represented the idealism of the 1960s, their son represented the ambition of the 1980s, and Alex P. Keaton represented that new era perfectly. Young, conservative, obsessed with money, completely unapologetic about it. Parents watching the show often related to Stephen and Elise. Their kids sounded more like Alex. That tension made Family Ties feel real. But before Michael J. Fox got the role, another young actor had already turned it down. Matthew Broderick. Then, NBC executive Brandon Tartikoff reportedly resisted casting Fox entirely because he thought he looked too small next to Meredith Baxter and Michael Gross. But during his audition, Fox improvised one tiny detail that instantly changed everything. The P in Alex P. Keaton. And once audiences saw him on screen, the entire direction of the show shifted. Alex wasn't just funny, he was fast, sharp, confident, completely unpredictable. Viewers loved him immediately. So Family Ties slowly transformed into something nobody originally planned, the Michael J. Fox Show. And almost at the exact same moment, his movie career exploded too. During the third season of Family Ties, Fox was living one of the most exhausting schedules in Hollywood history. He filmed Family Ties during the day in front of live studio audiences, then spent the entire night filming Back to the Future, over and over again. Sitcom set, movie set, barely any sleep, repeat. And somehow, the pressure only made him more charismatic on screen. Then, Back to the Future became a phenomenon. Suddenly, Michael J. Fox wasn't just a television star anymore. He was everywhere. Magazine covers, talk shows, movies, commercials. For a while, he seemed completely unstoppable. But behind the scenes, the real lives of the Family Ties cast were becoming far more complicated than audiences realized. For millions of viewers, Meredith Baxter represented the perfect television mother, calm, warm, emotionally steady. Elise Keaton felt comforting in a way television parents rarely do now, which made what audiences learned later feel almost impossible to reconcile. Years after the show ended, Baxter openly discussed struggles with alcoholism and emotionally abusive relationships during parts of her career. While viewers watched Elise Keaton holding her family together every week, Meredith Baxter was privately trying to hold herself together too. But what made her story resonate later wasn't scandal, it was honesty. Over time, Baxter became increasingly open about recovery, healing, and rebuilding her life. Then, in 2009, she publicly came out as gay. And for many longtime Family Ties viewers, the contrast was startling. The actress who embodied traditional 1980s motherhood had spent years hiding major parts of her real identity. And suddenly, audiences realized they never fully knew the woman behind Elise Keaton at all. Then, somehow, the gentle PBS father from Family Ties became famous for battling giant underground monsters. Michael Gross took one of the strangest career turns of anyone in the cast. On Family Ties, Stephen Keaton was thoughtful, intellectual, and endlessly patient. The kind of father who believed every argument could probably be solved through discussion. Then came Tremors, and somehow, it worked. Gross became a cult favorite for an entirely different generation of fans. And off-screen, he developed a reputation that's become increasingly rare in Hollywood. Consistency. No public implosions, no scandals, just decades of steady work and professionalism. Ironically, he also became deeply involved in railroad history and train preservation, which somehow feels strangely perfect for Stephen Keaton. Even more surprising, Gross and Meredith Baxter remained extremely close long after the show ended. Decades later, the Keaton parents still genuinely cared about each other. But while some cast members found stability after Family Ties, others reinvented themselves in ways audiences never expected, especially Justine Bateman. In the 1980s, Mallory Keaton practically defined the decade. Fashion-obsessed, boy-crazy, completely uninterested in academics, Mallory was basically the sitcom version of 1980s pop culture. But Justine Bateman's real life moved in the opposite direction. As she got older, Bateman became increasingly frustrated with Hollywood's obsession with youth and appearance. And instead of trying to preserve her 1980s image forever, she openly rejected cosmetic procedures and spoke honestly about aging naturally. The response online became brutal. Some praised her honesty, others attacked her appearance relentlessly. But Bateman refused to retreat. Instead, she reinvented herself completely. Writer, director, producer. Then, in her 40s, she went back to school at UCLA and earned a degree in computer science and digital media management. The actress who played the shallowest character on Family Ties became one of the most intellectually outspoken members of the cast. And somehow, that inversion made her story even more fascinating decades later. And looking back now, Family Ties accidentally became a preview of future Hollywood stardom, too. The guest stars alone are almost surreal. Before Forrest Gump, there was Tom Hanks playing Elise's troubled brother. Before Friends, Courtney Cox was dating Alex P. Keaton. Before Stand By Me made him iconic, River Phoenix appeared as a young math prodigy. Corey Feldman showed up before becoming one of the biggest teen stars of the 1980s. And in one bizarre coincidence, Crispin Glover appeared on Family Ties shortly before playing Michael J. Fox's father in Back to the Future. Then there was Tracy Pollan. She played Ellen Reed, Alex's girlfriend. Smart, independent, able to challenge him in ways nobody else could. Their chemistry on screen felt effortless, especially during the famous At This Moment storyline.
You think I could hate you?
Which permanently connected the Billy Vera song to Family Ties for an entire generation of viewers. But behind the scenes, something else was happening too. Michael J. Fox and Tracy Pollan were falling in love in real life. And unlike most Hollywood relationships, theirs actually lasted. The two married in 1988, and decades later, they're still together. But while some cast members found lasting stability after the spotlight faded, others quietly disappeared from Hollywood almost entirely. And this is where the story changes again. For audiences, Tina Yothers would always be Jennifer Keaton, the sarcastic younger sister growing up in the background of America's living rooms. But after Family Ties ended, Yothers slowly stepped away from mainstream fame. She fronted a rock band for a while, appeared on reality television years later, then largely chose a quiet family life away from Hollywood. And when longtime viewers saw her again years later, many had the same reaction. Not shock, just realization. The little sister from Family Ties had grown up. Then there was Brian Bonsall. To many viewers, he'll always be little Andy Keaton, the adorable youngest member of the family. But adulthood became much more difficult after his child acting years ended. Bonsall went through years of public legal trouble and personal struggles that surprised many longtime fans of the show. The contrast felt harsh, especially for audiences who still remembered him as the cheerful sitcom kid from the final seasons. But over time, Bonsall slowly rebuilt his life away from acting. Music became his focus, then family life, and his story eventually became less about collapse and more about rebuilding. Meanwhile, the actor who once seemed completely unstoppable was privately facing a battle that would redefine the rest of his life. In 1991, Michael J. Fox was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at just 29 years old. At first, he kept the diagnosis secret, and when you remember who he was at the time, it's easy to understand why. This was Michael J. Fox, the endlessly energetic star of Family Ties and Back to the Future, the fastest talking man on television. The idea that his body was beginning to betray him felt almost impossible to process. So for years, he continued acting, while privately dealing with symptoms that were becoming harder to hide. Eventually, though, the truth became public, and many people assumed it would end his career. Instead, it transformed it. Michael J. Fox became one of the world's most recognizable advocates for Parkinson's research, and somehow, the same qualities that made audiences love Alex P. Keaton decades earlier suddenly carried even more emotional weight. The humor, the optimism, the speed, the refusal to quit. Only now, those qualities meant something deeper. And through all of it, Tracy Pollan remained beside him, not as a celebrity headline, as a partner. Together, they built the Michael J. Fox Foundation into one of the most influential organizations in Parkinson's research, which may be the most remarkable twist in Michael J. Fox's entire story. The actor who once symbolized unstoppable ambition in the 1980s eventually became something much bigger, a symbol of resilience. And by that point, Family Ties had become something nobody expected back in 1982. Not just a hit sitcom, a time capsule, one audiences grew up with, only to later realize the cast had been changing just as much as they were. Maybe that's why Family Ties still matters so much decades later. Not just because it captured the 1980s perfectly, but because audiences genuinely felt connected to this family. People watched the Keatons while growing up themselves, and revisiting the cast now feels strangely personal, like reopening a time capsule from another part of life. Even the famous production tag at the end of every episode still instantly triggers nostalgia for longtime viewers.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.
The dog belonged to series creator Gary David Goldberg, and even after Ubu passed away early in the show's run, Goldberg kept the tag at the end of every episode as a tribute, which somehow feels fitting, because Family Ties itself became a tribute too, to family, to change, to growing older, and to an era of television people still remember with enormous affection. But this wasn't the only cast whose story took a surprising turn. Some of the biggest shows of the 90s had behind-the-scenes moments that completely changed their legacy. And one of them is even more shocking than this. If you think this story was unexpected, wait until you see what happened next. Click the video on your screen now. And before you go, let me know in the comments, which Family Ties character do you still remember most? And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Backtrack Television for more stories behind the shows that defined an entire generation.